right, so right here, you're going to take your tool out that you've purchased. So you can purchase tool from anywhere. I got this actual tool from my local Joann's fabric store. But the thing that's very important to achieve the look that you're going for, it depends on the inch. So right here, I got the 108-inch tool because I want the long tool that comes down past your feet, and then I'm going to cut it up for mine. But if you're just looking to do a custom tool skirt that comes to your knee, you can actually just get the 54-inch tool. You don't have to get the 108-inch. But I do want to let you know that the 108-inch tool usually only comes in black, white, and red. It doesn't come in all the colors. But you want to make sure when you take your tool out, you unfold it evenly and lay it across your table or your floor, wherever you're going to make your custom tool skirt at. You just want to make sure it's even, because keep in mind when you're pleating, if it's not even, it won't come out correctly, and the skirt won't sync with all the pleats and pieces that you'll have together. So what I'm doing here, you see, I'm just folding the first piece back and then flipping it over. Don't worry, I'm going to do it again for you, okay? It's really, 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 really simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the piece. You see that fold there? All right. And you're just going to make sure, see, it's evenly down that fold. So I'm going to do it one more time for you guys. You're going to take it, remember, straight out. See, straight out here. Fold it back. See that? All right, you fold it back. Make sure it's kind of evenly down, folded the same way. Come on, Gunner. And then you're going to fold it back, and then you're going to fold it over. And that gives you your first pleat. So what we're basically going to be doing is pleating our tool. A lot of people like to gather their tool. I personally don't care for that look. It has to be a particular reason why I'm gathering my tool. I prefer the pleats. They just look cleaner and nicer. So after you've done that, you're going to take your stick pins and you're just going to pin it at the top. Now this can be a tedious process because you literally have to do this all the way across the tool. So instead of me speeding up on this process, because I want you guys to really see what I'm doing, I'm going to leave it here, and it's literally going to be me pinning each piece of tool. If you want to fast forward this part of the video, you can, but if this is your first time, I advise you to pretty much watch it so you can literally see how each pleat is lining up here, because that's going to be very, very important when it comes to you doing your whole thing of tool. Okay, so just go ahead and start pleating. Just as I'm pleating, we can pleat together here. And the process takes the same time. And just kind of make sure they're even, because when you put your layers on top of each other, you want to make sure that they are even. Okay? So as you can see here, the pleats are starting to come in and line up. So as you can see, I'm just continuing the same method from the beginning across the tool. And as you see, you can kind of get the visual of how it's going to be as you continue to pleat. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm getting to my serger, and I'm actually going to serge the ends of my tool so that I have a finishing look on it. I'll show you in a second what it looks like when you actually finish your edges. I'm using a serger, but if you don't have a serger, you can use a sewing machine. And you're just going to sew right across the top where your pins are. Now, you cannot sew over pins, so you have to remove them before they go under your needle. This is very, very important because if you sew over the stick pins, you will break your machine. So as you can see, even me, I'm taking my time and I'm pulling out each pin as I go over each end of the top. You cannot skip this process. You will damage your machine. You will break your machine, okay? You literally have to pull a pin out each time that you go across the top. You want to make sure you keep your pleats together. So as you see here, pull a pin out, sew down a little more. Make sure my ends are straight. Pull a pin out, sew down a little more. This can also be a tedious process too because depending on how many layers you do, you have to do this for each layer. You just want to make sure you take your time because again, do not sew over the pins. You will mess your machine up. If you have a heavy foot, you want to take your shoes off and you want to sew with your sock. And don't mind me as I'm periodically looking up. It was something interesting on the television that I was listening to, and occasionally I just kind of looked up at it. But continue this process here throughout all your layers on your skirt. So I'm coming up on the end of my first piece. And so I'm just showing you what the finished edge looks like when you do it with a serger. Now sergers can be expensive, but if you want to get a starter one, you can get one from Walmart, Target, or Joann's Fabric, your local fabric store, or Amazon, and they're usually like $100. Okay, so this is just the first layer complete. Keep in mind, I usually do about 4 to 5 layers on mine. So let's go ahead and get into the next part. All right, so let's go ahead and begin our second layer. I'm going to do the same process, sewing right over the top, stopping to take out each pin so you don't sew over your pins. Can't stress that enough. Take your pins out. Do not sew over top of your pins. You will break your machine. And you're pretty much going to continue this process on down your whole second layer and your third layer and your fourth layer and your fifth layer. Okay, by the time you get to the second layer, you should feel a little more comfortable with sewing across the top, but don't get too comfortable because you don't want to make the mistake of sewing over top of your pins. Okay, so continue this process on for all 5 of your layers. Okay. All right, guys, this is the end of our second layer. Look at that beautiful finishing. Yes, nice and neat and professional looking. All right. Be back soon. Gotta get my next layer to begin sewing on. See, this process goes on and on and on for a while, but I'm going to show you guys because I want you guys to see how much it really takes when it comes to doing these skirts. And the more fuller you want it or your clients want it, the more and more of these pieces you have to do. So it's no shortcuts to this. It's literally pleating, pinning, sewing. Pleating, pinning, sewing. It's no way around this part. But it does give you a beautiful skirt at the end. And I'm going to post a finishing look of my skirt. But in my second video, I'm going to show you guys how to connect it all and then how to add your waistband to it. I didn't want to make this one too long, but at least we'll go ahead and have the first part of it done, which will be our pleating and our layers. And then the second video, we'll combine all our layers together. And then we'll put our waistband on, which is really good because it gives you some time to pretty much get all your top pieces done and then probably come back to it. So stay tuned and continue on to my next video so that you'll be able to do the final steps of it. Okay, but I'm going to continue to let this play out just so you can see me continuing on with all the layers. All right.